Welcome to Section 2, Divorce and Toxic Stress. In this short video that you're watching right now, I'm going to refer to 3 other videos that I'm going to have you watch after you watch this one. And they're all related to the effects of toxic stress as the result of divorce. So your number one obligation is to protect your children or your child from toxic stress. And again, we're talking about the toxic stress and high conflict families and high conflict between parents that creates similar toxic stress that a child would experience in other scenarios where there's a lot of dysfunction in the family. So at first, I just want to tell you a little bit. There are 2 classic studies that have been conducted. In the first one that you're going to watch a video about, which shows what occurs to a child or a baby when a parent is depressed and distracted. And I just want you to think about what happens in this case often when a parent is depressed and distracted due to divorce and the parent is not responsive to the child. And the first video is with Dr. Edward Tronick and his still face experiment. It's a really interesting stuff and really telling stuff, and hopefully will make you more aware of you and your spouse's behavior and how it impacts the kids. The second video comes from the Institute of Learning and Brain Sciences at the University of Washington, and it shows what happens to a child when they experience an adult's anger with another adult. And I want you to just imagine this situation when the 2 of you are fighting or in conflict or there's great tension and the children are exposed to that and what happens internally to them. All right, I'd like you to ponder about a couple different ideas when it comes to children's developing brains, which is really what we're going to be focusing on too in this section, because there's going to be a video, a third video that I want you to watch that really focuses on this, and it's really important. So, but I need you to understand a couple of different concepts. So children with few negative experiences are likely to function better as adults. So we know that the fewer negative experiences, the more high functioning the brain will be and the more high functioning the child will be as an adult. So number 2, brain development can be impacted by toxic stress related to parental conflict. So toxic stress, parental conflict equals not good brain development. Number 3, one way to protect your child from the toxicity is by providing them with positive and reliable relationships. All right, what is toxic stress? So we have 3 levels of stress and really only 1 level of toxic stress, let's say. So what is toxic stress? So not all stress is equal. Children are exposed to all types of stress. Some stress is healthy and helps children learn to adapt or function, such as learning a new skill, joining a new group or a team, or even receiving a vaccine. New situations can certainly cause anxiety. Adults need to remember that all anxiety is not bad, as much anxiety can be a valuable tool that helps children learn, grow, and mature. However, some situations are negative and do result in a loss or in an injury. Stresses are tolerable and will not have chronic effects if they are short-lived and the child has significant support from adults they love. So imagine when a child is stressed and they have nowhere to run. So that is what happens when this is what can cause toxic stress. So certainly we all make mistakes and create high stressful situations for our children, but we have to make sure that we got to make sure that it's short-lived and they can escape from it. Family violence and significant conflict between parents may expose children to many fearful, traumatizing, scary, and confusing experiences. Research has shown that when children are exposed to chronic conflict, this conflict can have a significant impact on their ability to manage their emotions and remain calm. They may forever be affected in the way they are able to manage problems and how they experience upsetting emotions throughout their life. So again, all based on their childhood experiences. Imagine being a child living with constant fear and worry. This child's stress wears and tears on their developing brain, and they begin to read interactions with many people as if the situation will blow at any moment. When a child perceives the world and others as dangerous and uncontrollable, they often find it difficult to trust and be close to others. What we know is that over time, this toxic stress directly impacts the structure of the brain, leading to problems with self-regulation, learning delays, anxiety, addictions, memory problems, and other health problems. Remember that brains do not stop developing until children are in their 20s, so even older children are impacted by high conflict parents. Obviously, reducing this type of conflict is not easy, or we would not have these types of courses. We know that it takes a lot of energy, a lot of great energy, and a commitment to change how we ourselves co-parent. Hopefully, you are more motivated knowing the deleterious impact toxic stress from high conflict parenting has on your children. So I want you to understand the concept of a developing brain. It's very interactive, where the child has a brain and it experiences the environment, and then it reacts to that environment, and then based on how the environment reacts to that brain, the brain then has a reaction, and then that reaction again is reacting to the environment. I want you to imagine watching a tennis match where the ball is going back and forth. So one side is the environment and one side is the developing brain, and certainly the tennis player, where on the developing brain side is changing based on how they continue to be served balls. So it's really a back and forth volley until that brain develops, and it usually lasts through late adolescence, mid-20s, where that brain is fully developed. But of course, we know there's lots of research showing that there's a lot of great plasticity where brains can change and continue to heal through adulthood as well. So let's move into protecting children. So if adults, meaning you, recognize the dangers of and take steps to protect your children from toxic stress, the impact of having been exposed to it in the past can be mitigated, and children can be shielded from the conflict. You must recognize that you have the ability to protect your children from toxic stress right now. So you can improve the protection of your children by immediately doing the following. Number one, you want to pay attention and listen to what they say and provide them with consistent support and encouragement. You want to have the philosophy of meeting your children in their world rather than expecting them to enter yours. Number two, commit never to expose your child to conflict. That means from now on, your child will not hear or see you arguing with your former partner or ever hear you say anything negatively about that partner. Ensure that you are involved in your child's life. Now this is number three, ensure that you are involved in your child's life and you are maintaining your role as a parent. You can't claim that the other parent has parental deficits or defects when you are not carrying your weight yourself. Stay in your lane and you be the best parent you can be. Number four, bolster your child's network of friends and family by surrounding them with positive, caring, and supportive individuals. Children need to know they are part of a community that will love, support, and nurture them. This network should include in-laws of the other parent if possible. This usually helps with bridge building. And number five, you can be that parent that reduces the stress for the child despite the other's decision to change their behavior or not. You can be that good enough parent regardless of what the other parent does. So the final video I'm going to have you look at is from the University of Alberta. from the Alberta Family Wellness Center that I think that you will find to be extremely interesting and helpful. It's a fairly long video. I believe it's about 40 or 50 minutes, but it really describes this volleying of back and forth behavior, or back and forth interaction between the brain and the environment and Dr. Judy Cameron describes this, and this is a video from October 2012, but it's still extremely relevant. But what I want you to take from this video is brains are built over time based on our experiences, and the solid brain foundation, or a solid brain foundation, is built in childhood through adolescence and then beyond. And stress also shapes brain development, and then of course stress is bad for brain development. And number 4, nurturing experiences are needed for healthy development and attachment. And then we got to look at this systemically as well, and about the future, as a future of the human race. And in order to build better futures for our world, for our children, we need to build better brains, and that certainly that starts with us and how we treat our children, especially if we're divorced and there's high conflict and kids don't have as many places of solitude and safety to run to. All right, let's talk about some examples of children's experiences of parental high conflict. And I want you to even take note and think about how your children may be affected by some of these areas. And understand that this is when we're talking about toxic stress. These are some of the behaviors that a child will observe and then experience as toxic stress. So number 1, hearing hurtful words and insults about or toward the other parent. Hearing scary negative tones or threats in a parent's voice. Watching a parent being humiliated or hurt by the other. Number 4, hearing a parent screaming and crying. Number 5, hearing a parent blaming the other parent in a harsh manner. Number 6, feeling forced to pick a parent over the other. Okay, even I'll have to say even to pick an activity with a parent over the other, or pick a parent over a more fun activity by staying with the other parent. Okay, or picking a. I gotta say I was involved in one case where the mother was there was one child that was a father's, and the mother had remarried and she had other kids, and the father was going to pick up the child after not seeing the child for 6 months because of some court-related shenanigans, and the mother was dropping the child off, and she had these 3 other kids in the car, and the mother said, "Oh, we're going to the zoo with everyone, but your daughter is missing out because she's coming to see you." And the child was crying and didn't want to make the exchange to be with the father because she wanted to go to the zoo. And I have to tell you that ultimately the child did not go with the father because she was kicking and screaming, and went to the zoo with her other siblings, her new step siblings. All right, I don't mean to get sidetracked here. Number 7, perceiving a parent's withdrawal. Number 8, hearing whispering of an older sibling or family member about what is happening, okay, or about the other parent. And then number 9, seeing signs of violence such as bruising or other injuries, or again, one parent being fearful of the other. And certainly this is not an all-inclusive list. This ends section 2.